big ideas, when we stratify, we stratify by something that we know is a confounding variable. It's something that we know influences the response variable, okay? Actual enjoyment scores, it doesn't seem to be that big a difference from across the columns, right? The leftmost column is still pretty similar to, say, the middle columns and so on and so forth, okay? So, and look at what, there's two other types of sample I want to talk about, okay? One is called a randomized cluster sample, and one of them is called a systematic random sample. I'm going to emphasize the cluster sample more, okay, because it's more likely that you might do it. And so what a cluster sample is we're going to divide our population into groups still. But now there's no rhyme nor reason towards those groups. Now, when it comes to enjoyment of a concert, we're going to kind of say, and if we go back and... So in this case, if we group by column, okay, and then what we're going to do is select an entire group. So I might generate two random digits, and let's say I pick this one and this one. And what I would find is the mean of all these columns. Everybody good? And theoretically, each group should be about the same. It's almost like you could view in a cluster sample, okay? In a cluster sample, it's almost like you're selecting each group in and of itself might be its own simple, littler, simple random sample, kind of, okay? Big idea, you select the entire group. So now, what do you guys think about this sample? Is it going to be a good one? Will it be a good representative sample? Yeah. What about it makes you think that this will be a good representative sample?
You're getting all the rows, and it's also not like the center column or what the outside columns.
Okay, but even if it was, as far as we know, because it would have been randomly done, right? Okay. Now, can you guys think of other situations where a cluster sample might make more sense? Let's say I'm working for Walmart, and I'm debating at changing the nationalized healthcare that they use, okay? So Walmart offers health insurance to its employees, okay? And they want to get they want to get their employees' opinions about the change in health insurance. Should they take a random sample of employees across the country? Does that seem like a feasible thing when you start thinking about how many people, say, work for Walmart? What if instead they took a random selection of stores and had the whole store respond? That might make more sense. Not only that, if they ask the entire store, they're getting all levels of management, right? So they have a lot of different perspectives, okay? All right. Now, so this is a cluster sample. And the big idea is that you select whole groups. All right. Now, the other type of sample we have is this systematic. Okay. For a systematic sample, you take for instance, an example would be taking every fifth person or every 30 seconds or something along those lines. And the randomization is the starting point. So if I wanted to get an opinion of all students in the school, I could maybe generate a random digit between 1 and 10 before I even start. And so let's say it's a 3. Then I'm going to ask the 3rd, the 13th, the 23rd, the 33rd, etc. Do you guys see what I'm saying there? But had I generated a 9, I would ask the 9th, the 19th, the 29th, okay? I don't think you need to worry about systematic samples that much. Okay, just know that as long as you randomize your starting point, you're good. It's still a random sample. But the bigger emphasis is going to be on stratified and cluster samples. Okay, and then of course the simple random sample is the easiest one. Everybody good? What do I got next? So let's go ahead and look at this free response question. I think this is an example of a free response question that kind of encompasses a lot of just sampling techniques. As you guys have you guys read Part A yet? How are we feeling about Part A? What would you say?
The first 500 would probably care more if they're in the first one.
Okay. The first 500 people at a home game have a lot more how about I say this, have a lot more school spirit and are unlikely to say something bad about the school or school pride. They probably think higher of the school's grounds than others. Cool. I think that's great. You guys, did I describe the source of the bias? And did I say how it affected the response to the variable, the response variable? Okay, so higher or lower, something like that is probably a good way of describing bias. You probably need to have at least not just where is it coming from, but also the effect on that response variable. How are we feeling? Decent? All right. Let's talk about Part B. Psst.
Thank you.
I need to go get more of the blocks I had over there as low, but this will be much. This will be much kinder to your nose.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Should I just put these over here?
Please. All right, y'all. So this is just, can you describe random selection? Okay, so there's very specific rules we're going to use, yeah? So give each student a number between 1 and 70,000. Remember what to say next?
500 numbers.
Use a random digit generator to get 500 unique numbers. ask the students assigned to those numbers. Their opinions about the school grounds. Very specific. All right. Last one. Because stratification can be more precise, like here, stratification was more precise, right? Okay. When would it be appropriate, and we're talking about what? Different campuses, right? Each with male and female students. Under what circumstances should we stratify by campus? Okay. Which one did a better job, stratifying by row or stratifying by column?
Row.
This was stratifying by row,
Oh,
right? Or we grouped by rows and then selected from each row. And why was this better?
the results didn't.
Each row had different opinions, yeah? So you stratify by where when you think the opinions from the different groups would be different from each other. So so if I want to stratify by campus, right? So I'm thinking like OSU versus OSU Marion, OSU Newark, right? Stratifying by campus, when is it better to stratify by campus? Well, that would be if one campus is different from the other campus, so that both campuses have equal representation or proportional representation. Everybody good? So they should stratify by campus if each of the campuses is different from each other. How we feeling, okay? All right.